What a beautiful morning.
Yes, yes it is.
Happy spring. I want to surprise you all by paying you a compliment.
Holy moly.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Bob.
Two compliments.
Really wants to sit down.
Well, they're sitting down. Two compliments, actually. I'm really glad to see that you're keeping up with the minutes now and putting them on the agenda and approving them in an open forum. That's great. That's what we need to have happening. So thanks for all that goes into that. And while I don't agree with all the frequent trips to Annapolis, I'm glad to see they're appearing on the agenda now too, and the names of the commissioners that are going to be going and when they're going. So thank you for that. But I'm really here because I have a couple of comments and also a couple of questions. Actually, I have an outstanding question, one that I asked 2 weeks ago today, and it was specifically of you, Commissioner Howard. I had asked you whether you, as the president of the Board of County Commissioners, would condemn or condone the remarks that were made by Commissioner Rothschild in an open session recently. I'll repeat my question. I had asked, do you condone or condemn Mr. Rothschild's use of the word Gestapo in referring to people who disagree with his point of view? I didn't get an answer that day, and so I emailed you that same day. Actually, I was sitting in the meeting when I emailed you, and I haven't gotten a response to that either, and it's been 2 weeks. And
Okay.
I'm just wondering, are you planning to respond to my question?
I'll respond to it right now. Actually, I don't plan to either condemn or condone. I don't have any particular designation as president of the board to do so. I've made this comment before that I don't feel it's appropriate to comment on comments made by commissioners, and I'm not sure I would agree with your characterization of exactly the context in which it was said, but so no, I don't plan to respond.
I'll be happy to send you a transcript of the.
I have a transcript, but I don't think it was because of people that disagree with him. I think there was a particular context that was said in, but no, I don't plan to respond.
Well, what would Mr. Rothschild have to do then? Pull a Rush Limbaugh, call somebody an ugly name before you would
There are,
do something?
whatever mechanisms exist, they're not part of the purview of being president of the board. So whatever they are, they are.
Well, I know that you offered someone an apology in private for that comment.
No,
I'm
I
asking
actually,
you
no,
that I
that's not
issued
true.
that apology
See,
publicly.
again, that's misinformation. That's not true. I apologized to someone for an email I sent, the tone of an email I sent him. That was all I apologized for. But that's fine.
Okay. Well, back to my comments. As I said, I'm opposed to these frequent trips back and forth to Annapolis. Frankly, I don't care how much time you spend down there as long as it's your time, not on the public dime. And you can spend every waking moment down there if you want to, but when you're using time that should be dedicated to working for the county, or you're putting in for mileage for those trips, then I think the citizens of Carroll County have the right to object. We have a county delegation. We have 3 senators and 4 delegates down there that are paid to do that job. It's really not within the purview of the commissioners to be doing that. And where is this lobbyist that we're paying for? What's he doing? Commissioner Frazier said last week the only thing she knew he had done was send 1 email. What are we paying him? Wasn't it like $5,000 a month?
No,
it's
it's
not
$5,000 for the entire session.
Total.
Yeah.
So
And we've gotten a lot more correspondence than 1 email a month. We get about an email a week.
apparently Commissioner Frazier's not getting them.
Okay. Well,
Well, I'm
check that
just
with her.
infuriated.
You understand also that many of the times when we're down in Annapolis, we are down there at the request of that delegation you're talking about. We are.
Do you work for the delegation or do you work for the citizens of Carroll County?
When the
Do you work for
delegation.
E.J. Pipkin or do you
Okay.
work for the?
No, it's not E.J. Pipkin. And when
Well,
the delegation.
Rothschild goes at his beck and call.
Okay, but he's also taken up some of the causes that we initiated as being concerning for Carroll County. So when the delegation's taken up a matter, and they say, okay, for this matter that you've expressed as being important to the citizens of Carroll County, which I don't think anybody question, well, most people won't question, and they say, to make this point, you need to be here. It's no different than when the Board of Ed goes down and talks about their issues. It's no different when any other group or organization goes down to talk about their issues. This is very, very common practice.
Or county elected officials from across the state of Maryland.
That's exactly right. And the notion, frankly, as far as our time versus public time, is that if you want to take something that has been clearly described as a part-time job that is not being worked by part-time by the people that are spending those, no one's getting cheated in their hours. I guarantee you that.
Well, I'll tell you where I think we are getting cheated, to use your word, Commissioner. I'm not sure I would use that strong word, but I think where we're getting billed is on the mileage. Now, you probably know that a lot of the mileage claims have been posted online. They were released through a Public Information Act, and they appeared in a prominent blog here in the county. They're kind of sketchy. I can't really make sense of all the documents. It seems like some things are missing, but I can tell you that there's a lot of money going out of the coffers every month for trips back and forth to Annapolis. I can't recall a time when commissioners ever made several trips a week down there. But, you know, I mean,
I have nothing to compare that to. I mean, I would disagree with your representation that is a prominent blog. I don't think it's a prominent anything. And secondly, I don't think it's inconsistent with what our practice has been here for years and years. But that's
Which
fine.
blog are you referring to? Well, if you're going to condemn it, let's hear the name.
I'm responding to your comment. You said it was it appeared on a prominent blog.
But how do you know what blog I'm referring to?
Maybe I know. Okay.
I mean, it's one that you speak to often.
Oh, if you're talking about the patch, okay, I would regard that as a prominent blog, I guess.
Okay, I would like to think you're not calling that.
Okay.
At any rate, the mileage that's being claimed is just in excess of what we've seen before, and it seems to be coming primarily from one
I
commissioner.
don't believe that's true.
Commissioner
Do you know
Frazier.
that to be a fact?
I do.
You know the total mileage of what this government's spending now is more than what it was when we had Frank, what was his name? Johnson going down there. It was more than we had when we had more staff going down. You know that for a fact?
No. What I know is that there are trips being claimed for local travel by one commissioner in particular.
You're talking about Annapolis now or local
Well,
travel?
right now I'm talking about mileage in general.
But you're talking about Annapolis. You said the trips to Annapolis is what concerns you. So my question is, do you know that that's the
mileage
case?
Overall. I haven't
Okay.
seen Frank Johnson's mileage, no. But I know that there's a lot of mileage being turned in, more.
I would be
majority
very
of it
surprised
comes
if it's
from
any
one.
more than it's ever been.
Well, there definitely is one commissioner who's filing more. Commissioner Frazier is filing more. And she's filing to and from her home, which is
Well, but I'm talking about
absolutely
specifically in relation to Annapolis. Anybody that thinks we
Let's
don't
talk
have...
about mileage in general, if we can,
Well,
then.
but
Let's talk about car expenses in general. This board's car expenses are probably 20% of what the prior boards were.
That's
We don't
exactly
take
right.
government cars.
Well, what about claiming mileage to and from home?
Again, yeah. I mean, my understanding was you were talking about Annapolis, but that's fine. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry, I should have interrupted.
Well, yeah, I just kind of had a suggestion about that relative to the driving back and forth to Annapolis. And I don't say it flippantly. I'm going to suggest that you, Commissioner Howard, be the one to go back and forth to Annapolis, because you're the one that I don't think has ever put in a mileage claim. I've never seen one. And that way we wouldn't be paying for the mileage back and forth, and we wouldn't be paying for a special assistant to drive you back and forth, as Commissioner Rothschild has done on at least one occasion.
I've never paid it, especially to drive me back and forth.
I beg your...
You know what?
I beg to
you have a
differ.
right to speak, but I'm not going to let you sit here and mischaracterize
Well, I'll show
these things
I'll be
for
glad to show-
political purposes.
It's not
Because this
political.
is disingenuous. This board's car expenses are a fraction of the prior board. And I'll tell you right now, I don't even like going to Annapolis. I go there because I feel a compelling need to do it to represent the interests of my constituents whose property rights, whose wallets are being attacked daily by this governor. And my people that voted for me expect me to go in there and do everything I can to testify in front of these committees and try to stop this onslaught of aggressive legislation that impinges on the autonomy of this county.
Wow.
True.
Well, Commissioner, I'm going to take exception with you saying that I'm not correct, because there is a mileage claim from your special assistant, Mrs. Fuller, that says very clearly drove Commissioner Rothschild to Annapolis and back. That's what the claim was for. That was the purpose of the trip.
Miss Fuller accompanied me on a trip, and one of us had to drive. And because I had to make phone calls to constituents
So not
on the
only
way
are-
down, she chose to drive. But if she had not driven, I would have driven. So either way, there was going to be one trip, and we went together rather than use two cars and ride on two trips.
And it is not a new practice to bring staff to Annapolis. That's been going on for 20 years in this building.
Well, if the only purpose was to make phone calls, we have hand-free
No, that
devices.
wasn't you see, again, you didn't listen to what he said. That was not the only
So
purpose.
he
He
could
said
make phone calls.
No, he said she was going anyhow. Someone had to drive, and she drove because he was making phone calls. That's what he said.
So he could drive and make phone calls. I didn't hear him say she was going down there for any purpose.
No, he said she was going
paperwork
anyhow.
didn't say she was going for any purpose other than to drive.
You know, Ms. Grady,
But my
if
point-
I didn't know better, I would think you're trying to silence us. You don't want us in Annapolis talking. What is it that you're afraid that we're saying in Annapolis that you want to silence us? Because clearly, if we were there at the foot of the Green Cross supporting these environmental mandates, I think you would not have a problem. What is it that we're saying that you want to silence us for?
Well,
What is it exactly that we're saying that you object to?
I'm not down there, so I don't know. But I will tell you this, that a lot of times the positions that you take here, that you speak of here locally, are not consistent with all your constituents, as you would have people believe. And I will also tell you that in your accusation of my trying to silence you, that's the reference you made when you used the Gestapo word. You said that people who try to silence you are Gestapo, using Gestapo tactics.
And Ms. Grady, I think the fact that you have twice now in 1 week suggested that we should not be allowed as commissioners to go to Annapolis and testify is an indication that, in fact, that is exactly what you're trying to do, which is silence us.
Well, I will tell you that it is because I think you're making way too many trips down there, and I think you're going for your own personal political.
Well, I would ask you to check. I would ask you to check with the delegation. Most of the times they're asking us to come down there. So, all right. I think we've certainly exhausted 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Grady.
Enjoy this beautiful spring day.
You too, and I hope your foot heals.
Thank you.
All right. Next up on the agenda, we have the adoption of the February minutes and the March 1st minutes.
Mr. President, I'm going to request that we postpone this till our next meeting.